Now, welcome to a review of the second episode of Dune Prophecy on Max, where we will begin with Naboo's thoughts on this latest episode.
I really am enjoying how much you can compare it to like the first seasons of Game of Thrones. How it's very intricate in the details. You're getting your factions set up, you're getting your main players in the factions set up, and you're seeing how they interact and struggle for power and control.
Yeah, it's like Game of Thrones in space right now. Maybe not quite as many characters or as many plot threads or factions, but it is the key word there because it is still relatively early.
Yeah, well, they dealt with the Duke's faction. He's taken care of. But they still have the Sisterhood versus Desmond Hart / the Imperium / the Rebellion. It was interesting to find out that the Rebellion is actually being controlled by the Sisterhood, that they fan its flames to keep the Empire in check.
I couldn't help but think of Palpatine in the Clone War.
Right.
It's right where my head goes. Always back to Star Wars.
It was really sad about the kid's death, honestly.
Well, that was in the previous episode. So.
Yeah, but the funeral was in this one, and
and
it's sad that like the grief becomes such a political thing, and it's like you have to step back and grieve, but it's
everything's
complicated.
Political.
In the show, yes,
and
everything
in our
is
world,
political.
I think, but yeah, especially in this show, or especially in our world too.
Mm-hmm. Desmond Hart is still like the mystery. He says he was eaten by Shah-Halud, the sandworm from Arrakis, that his eye was eaten and he was granted powers. Could he be part of the reason why the Sisterhood is so desperate to create a Kwisatz Haderach way down the genetic line?
Yes.
Yes, you think so?
You threw a lot at me for not being the expert in Dune.
Well, remember that in the time of Paul Atreides, the Sisterhood was actively working on, for who knows how long, skewing the genetics to make the person who could guide them to the future. Do you think this whole genetic thing that they've been doing is because of Desmond Hart? Seeing what he is, what he can do.
Trying to make one of him? Because isn't that the point, to like
make
evolve
one that
humans?
They can control.
Yeah. The next step in human evolution, so you don't need to ever have machines and AI and all that fun stuff ever again.
They kind of have already gotten closer to that point.
You got like the mentats and you reorganize your brain.
But they deliberately were trying to create the Kwisatz Haderach. They wanted, so I'm wondering if part of the reason that they're so desperate to skew genetics through all of this time was because of this encounter here in the way past with Desmond Hart, that he can do things that they can't, and
yeah, I mean, he can burn people from the inside.
From miles?
Yeah, across the... not miles. You're talking... you're talking a lot more than miles, yeah.
So he's a very interesting character because currently he says his only goal is to
serve
the Empire. Do you believe that? Or
no.
Because I think his real goal is to get rid of the Sisterhood, and is it just because he sees now how they control things, that he sees the threads that they've been weaving across the stars?
Yeah, I think he has plans within plans. When have we ever seen an HBO show where the characters weren't layered? Come on, he's not just what he is up front.
I'm also really sad about Lila, the little acolyte in this episode who tried to reconnect to Mother Raquella.
That was the cool part of the episode.
It was really cool. Visually, it was amazing, kind of
scary.
Seeing the visualization of what they're going through.
Yeah.
Why it hurts
creepy,
them. Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I don't know about scary, I guess, but creepy, certainly.
Creepy. Very interesting. Visually, it was really good to watch. It was very nicely done.
That was the best part of the episode, I thought. I'm kind of on the fence right now with that. I don't, we compare it to Game of Thrones. I think the difference is Game of Thrones, pretty much every character like immediately connects with you. Or just there's something about them that intrigues you. You're immediately hooked. You're into their story. I don't know that I quite feel that way about every character here. There's a lot of characters I'm like, they're just not. I don't know what it is.
You're not identifying with them so much?
Yeah, I'm not saying it's bad by any stretch. I'm entertained. I'm interested. I want to see where this goes. But I don't feel that, Penguin, we just saw that, another HBO show.
Yeah.
Like, I was immediately hooked by like every character. This one, I'm like, yeah, you got something here, but we're 2 episodes deep and I still feel like you're kind of trying to reel me in. That makes sense?
I can definitely see that. I feel like you are correct. I mean, being as this is so far away from the Dune that everyone has watched.
Yeah.
It's supposed to feel connected, and yet it should feel disconnected, and that disconnect can cause its own problems.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's weird that it is connected and disconnected. I feel like the technology, and granted we know they're not purposely trying to make like crazy AI and machines and robots or whatever, but I feel like the technology is so close to 10,000 years into the future. You're hearing names that are the Atreides, the Harkonnens, and all that are 10. And it feels kind of like if you didn't know when this is taking place, they do give you the information right in that first episode. Don't get me wrong. You would think this was like an imminent prequel, if that makes sense.
Yes, I totally agree with that.
I don't, like you said, there's this sense of disconnect, but there's also this weird connection that I'm not entirely sure should be there, if that makes sense.
Well, the houses are really that old. It just is crazy to think of lines that are thousands, 10,000s of years old.
Yeah, 10,000 years ago, humanity was, we were discovering how to do agriculture. So
of course, now
there's a big leap from then to now.
Part of the reason those lines still exist as they do is because of the sisterhood.
Yeah, I get that. I'm not saying I'm not enjoying it. I'm not saying it's not good or that I think it's, not going anywhere. But I feel like I'm still kind of like, okay, still working on trying to care about the characters.
I mean, an interesting thing to note, even in the Bene Gesserits, their weird genetic stuff. And they did not show this exactly in the new movies, but in the books for Dune, there is kind of someone who is Bene Gesserit trained who goes and quote-unquote collects genetic material from Fade.
Are they connecting it the way I think they're collecting it?
Yes, to make sure that even if this war with the Fremen and with the Empire and everything goes poorly for their house, the line will continue because that's what they care about is the genetic memories.
Yeah. That's interesting. The genetic memory thing was, like I said, the whole sequence, to go back to it really quick because I kind of cut us off, like that was really interesting and good. I like the whole where you're using your kind of, your brain power essentially to break down the poison to the molecular level. That it's kind of like this.
That you're controlling your body systems enough to do that.
Yeah, where you literally have such control over reality in a sense that you can break down molecules with your own mind, which, that in itself could lead to a whole interesting lot of questions about what is the nature of reality, but let's...
Yeah. One final thing I wanted to touch on is, with this show, there's one thing that's confusing me is, who are we rooting for and why?
You know what? That might be the problem.
I mean, you assume we're rooting for the sisterhood. Why?
But not really.
Because we're getting the most of their point of view. We're hearing what they're trying to do all the time.
But we can tell that they're shady, right? It's one of the things I think worked really... Yeah, one of the things that worked really well with Game of Thrones Season 1 is the Starks are... Yes, they have their issues. They're not squeaky clean, white knight good guys, but they're the good guys. You have someone you care about and to root for. And right away, some of your villains immediately stick out as well. And here, I'm not really... It's almost so kind of gray that I just am kind of lost in the shuffle. I'm not sure.
I mean, do you want the sisterhood actually being the rulers of the whole galaxy, that they're controlling everything? Or should it be done through the Empire doing things the right way with the politics and the ruling family?
Yeah, to go back to Penguin, like everybody, that was a very morally gray show, don't get me wrong, but we were given reasons to get on board with Penguin and to kind of root for him despite knowing he was a bad guy. And here, it's just so kind of, here's the story that I don't know what side I should be on.
Essentially, it's going to kind of be the sisterhood fighting for their own survival and relevancy.
Yeah, but you got to give me a reason to really get vested in that fight.
Right, because you could look at the fight the way Desmond Hart is, and they're the bad guys, because why are they controlling everything?
That's an excellent question, yeah. So you haven't been given the reasons to really care about either side or why you should care about their plight or whatever they're trying to accomplish. So yeah, I'm still on board, certainly. I'm enjoying it. Yeah, it's complicated, it's complex. I like that.
That's what I like about it the most, I think.
Yeah, it is. It's a good show, but it needs a little something more yet. And I hope these final 4 episodes, because we are a third of the way through now, I hope they deliver on something here, because you got the beginning. Can we get the middle and then stick the landing? We'll see. But anyway, that's going to be all we got for this time. Now it is your turn. Take to the comments below. Tell us what you thought of this second episode of Dune Prophecy. And let's talk some spice. And until next time, thanks for watching.